yeah, we're always quite, we really always want to emphasize that these teachings, there's nothing, there's no obligation at all. I think I've heard someone say one should give Dhamma in such a way that one does not feel regret afterwards, but that's always felt a little bit off when it comes to us, because it implies that you're in the red, and that's just not the case with monks. Like, we're fine. I think Ajahn Amaro once calculated how much it took to look after a monk, and it was like as much as it took to look after a Great Dane. It's probably not counting healthcare costs in the U.S., but those are probably covered. And so just to say, like, really, the Buddha said, give as inspired. I think that's a better metric. So we always feel like it's useful to at least, it's important to let people know how they can contribute to a project if they're inspired. But genuinely, the retreat, the teachings, it's all just truly freely given. And if the biggest way you can pay us back, quote unquote, is by just practicing sincerely back home and carrying on these teachings to the people around you in terms of your heart. And please understand that our community is a resource for anyone who wants it over these coming months and hopefully years to just tap in, and we hope people do that. So. Sit together.
Tanha kayo virago nirodo nibbana. So this is exquisite, this is sublime, the fading away of all fabrications, the relinquishment of acquisitions, the destruction of lust, dispassion, cessation, and nibbana. I was kind of hoping that the heater would go off right after I finished that. I am grateful for the heat. But there is also something that's very nice, that the stilling of a room when you've been sitting in a room, sitting in a house with an air conditioner or a refrigerator or something, and you've been sitting and things seem peaceful enough, but then that machine, the whir of the engine just stops and things just drop down to a whole another level that you didn't even realize, a kind of bodily tension, that kind of just bracing ourselves at the contact of the sound. Yeah, so today is the final evening or final afternoon session when we talk about the three final pools, the three final bodies of water, which are the result of all of the water coming down the mountaintop. We put in various different causes, faith and sense of integrity, generosity, learning, today's theme of wisdom, and that's given rise to different water drops, rain falling at the top of the mountain, filling up these pools of pamoja, well-being, leading to piti, or rapture, joy, leading to passaddhi, tranquility, bodily tranquility, mental tranquility, leading to sukha, pleasure, even happiness, and that happiness leading to the cool, limpid pool of samadhi, which leads into seeing things as they are. It's like if anybody went down to the pool down there this morning, you could actually see through the surface of the water. It was still enough. You could see the seaweed, etc. See the bottom of the pond. So seeing things clearly, and then that gives rise to these last three pools, the last results, which are nibbida, viraga, and vimutti. So that's disenchantment, dispassion, and liberation, or freedom. So the first quality there is nibbida, and the root of this word is one which we've talked about before. It's vague, like Vedana. So the V becomes a B, but it's this letting go, or letting a certain feeling drop away, a certain type of sensation. People in the past, different translators, have actually translated it as disgust, which has a bit of a charge to it in English. But I think that the sentiment there is that you're becoming, you're no longer taken in by the gusto of everything. This is the taste, the flavor of our different sense impingements, and you're able to let that go, and things begin to lose their flavor, and that doesn't sound that exciting. It doesn't sound like a cool limpid pool that would be even better than joy and rapture and happiness. But the type of flavor that we're letting go, the type of feeling that we're kind of seeing through at this stage with nibbida, I think can better be translated as disenchantment. And it's not the type of enchantment that is kind of cute, the enchantment of sprites and elves and forests and gingerbread houses and this type of thing. It's a somewhat more it's the enchantment of Mara, really. It's when we are able to let go of the enchantment of seeing things not as they are, but how we want to see them, kind of taking off the rose-colored glasses. And this is a word which has very positive connotations, and there's a coolness about it, and it's interesting to note that it comes after rapture and pleasure have actually subsided. So this is an even, doesn't have the elation or the hair standing on end type pleasure and excitement of rapture, different types of piti, but it's the pleasure of just seeing clearly. So this is nibbida, disenchantment, no longer being bamboozled, or no longer being fooled by sight, sound, smells, tastes, touch, and by our own thoughts. So how this applies to meditation, bringing nibbida not just in the realm of thoughts and ideation and the intellectual, what's written on the page in the Pali Canon, but bringing it into practice. It's that which is able to put down and really come back. And sitting meditation, we're drawn away so frequently and almost so reliably by who knows what. It can really be anything. If our eyes are closed sitting here in the hall, it's usually some kind of thought about the past, or thought about the future, thought about something visual or auditory, or something that we could touch or smell or taste. And coming back to our meditation object, or coming back to a sense of knowing, which is really a more exquisite, a more refined, a more peaceful type of enjoyment. Coming back to this place of knowing. So that's the pool of nibbida. Then you've got the pool of viraga, which, as you start to become familiar with the chanting book and the Pali Suttas, you'll see it over and over and over. It appears later on in the Buddha's first discourse on setting in motion the wheel of Dhamma. Of course, it occurs yesterday in the third noble truth, the cessation of dukkha. It's that first movement, this letting go, the fading away. This is viraga. The main word here is raga, and I mentioned before, it's cognate. That means it has a parallel in English. So both English and Latin and Sanskrit and Pali are all Indo-European languages. So there's a lot of crossover. So the word raga, which can be translated as passion, or reddening, or even dye, as in D-Y-E. It's cognate with the French rouge for red, or rouge like the makeup. And what V does, this prefix, is it's a de-reddening, or a fading away. So you've got something that's dyed, and you put it out in the sun, put it out in the rain, and that dye will just naturally come off. It's natural that will come off when you expose something to the light, when you expose something to the rain, to the elements. Given this image before that, say you have, you're getting in a conflict, you're getting in some kind of row with your partner, you're angry at them, they're bringing up all the other things which you've been fighting about for years, and it's just coming up, it's boiling up, and it's just about to explode. Whatever you want to say, it's about to come out of your mouth. And just at that moment, somebody sneaks in and takes a photo of your face. And they process this photo, print it out, and you got this photo, and it's your face, super angry. Your face just at its angriest. And you print it out, and say, staple it onto a piece of plywood, and put it outside. Put it outside, and it's not going to be too long before all of the color, all of the reds and the yellows and the blues of that image are just, if they're just out in the sun, they're just going to fade, and it won't be too long before the whole image is just zapped of its color. You might have just a white, shriveled piece of paper on the plywood after just a week or even less. And yeah, that's what we can allow to happen. And it's not that we want our lives to become more and more it's not like we want our lives to be fully devoid of vitality and zest and interest. In fact, you talk about Dhamma raga. So this is Dhamma raga. This is passion for the Dhamma, or Dhamma chanda, desire and enjoyment and interest in the Dhamma. But what we're allowing to fade is just the proliferative energy, all of the caught upness and the fervorousness, the heatedness, the unnecessary tension that we bring to our thinking process, and the way we relate to the world. So just letting all that fade away. I have not seen any studies like this, but they must exist. Just fMRI scans of people, eliciting people in fMRI machines to experience different emotions, and seeing how that lights up the brain. And it would be easy to imagine that any of the first three hindrances, so the hindrance of sensual desire, the hindrance of ill will, or say the fourth hindrance of agitation, that there's a big burst of intensity, a lot of activity in the prefrontal cortex, just thinking about whatever is drawing our attention, whether it's in the vector of wanting or desire, or if it's in the vector of pushing away, or if it's just activity. Chances are you would see in a fMRI scan, you look and you've got the brain largely in grays and blacks, but then you've got this intensity of red and orange and yellow in the prefrontal cortex, right around this front part, what you might consider the third eye. And for me, I find that a useful image to compare with viraga. So raga is that impassionedness, the reddening, it's the red, the intense red of that MRI, the intensity in the frontal lobe. And you can really feel it. I think most people here probably felt the intensity, and when you're thinking a lot, whether it's desiring or pushing away, you can actually feel tension in between the eyes here. And if you can bring that to mind, just the intense activity in that area, if there was a brain scan, and even if that's not exactly what's happening in a brain scan at that moment, just for me, there can be a level of cognitive cerebral relaxation, just saying, oh, actually, I don't need to keep all of my interest here. I can let things spread out. It seems agitated and inflamed to have all this activity, all this energy, all these calories going to just fuel my desire or my anger. So just letting things cool out, letting all that activity just dissipate and go back to cooler blues and greens that are more dispersed across the whole brain. Similarly with all of the contraction just in the brow here. You might have like a thermal scan. You see these photos, firemen or people who work in air conditioning and heating systems will often have these infrared or heat sensing guns, heat sensing cameras that they can look at things with, and different parts of the body really do show up differently depending on how much blood is circulating through the area and how much heat is being generated there. And I haven't seen it, but it's easy to imagine just an enraged face literally being incensed and reddened, and just, don't really want to waste my calories that way. Don't want to use up all of this heat in the face. So just letting all that cool out. That's viraga. That's a coolness. That's a coolness. The fading away. And the final pool is that of Vimoka or Vimutti. This is the great ocean of liberation or freedom. The Buddha said that just as the whole great ocean has the same flavor, the same taste, what's that taste? It's the taste of salt. It's the taste of salt. So too, all of the Dhamma has a single taste. And what's that taste? It's the taste of liberation, this taste of vimutti. And this is peaceful. This is nibbana. This is a synonym for nibbana, for nirvana. The Buddha said that nirvana is the highest peace, the highest happiness, the highest bliss. It's worth giving a life to. So we've got these different pools. We've got all these different cascading levels of well-being leading out to this vast ocean, this vast cool ocean, which is abundant, exalted, and immeasurable. And we can use all the tools that we've been talking about, and even more. So as mentioned at the beginning, these different headings, the different doors into the garden of Pamoja, the garden of well-being, although we've lumped them together as 5, there's a lot more subsidiary doors, other teachings. So actually each of the 4 Brahma Viharas, loving kindness and compassion, empathetic joy, this mudita, and equanimity, each of those can give rise, for one who has loving kindness or compassion in their heart, gladness, joy, equanimity. For one who has that, that gives rise to pamoja, that can give rise to a sense of pamoja. And it's good to be realistic. The Buddha doesn't give a time frame for how quickly each of these pools is going to cascade into the next. He does use the present tense, so for one who is generous, then well-being arises. Well-being arises. This arises, it's in the passive case, so it's not something that you necessarily need to do. It's not something you need to actively make the rain fall more quickly. But for one who's generous, for one who has a sense of integrity, then pamoja arises. And when this is going to happen, when we will see the results of that, really depends in part on past causes, what we're coming to the meditation with, but also what we do in the present moment. So they are the fruit, so each of the pools is something which will happen of its own accord according to the seeding of the clouds that we're doing, helping it rain, inclining towards opening these different doors. It's partially going to be the result of past action, but we can incline in that way, as the Anapanasati Sutta that we chant keeps mentioning. We can train. One trains thus: I will be one, breathing in, gladdening the mind. Breathing in long, I gladden the mind. Breathing in long, I arouse rapture. Breathing in, I cultivate a sense of sukha. So allowing it, and maybe that will clear the way, help the rain that's falling, maybe help that fill the pool all the more quickly. And if all of this talk of big mountains and huge clouds pervading seems a bit much, maybe it's easier to just imagine your backyard fountain. So a smaller model, fountain brings up water to the topmost pool, and that fills and then tips over and fills the next pool, the next little cup, fills the next reservoir, and on down into the pool at the bottom. And whether you've been able to tap into deep senses of cool and calm and pleasures which seem to easily be called a spiritual zest, a spiritual rapture, immaterial, unworldly, transcendental rapture, which all of these are possible. And the more you sit on retreat, the more likely you will be to experience these states. But as Ajahn Nisarga was pointing out, intensity of experience can be great for giving us a peek at what is possible in the spiritual landscape. But really, the more we're able to consistently seed those clouds and put in the causes, then deeper reservoirs will be created for the cooling rain that comes down. So we've got three more sessions this afternoon, and then another hour plus this evening, not to mention tomorrow morning. So the retreat is by no means over yet, and there's still lots of opportunities to experience these different levels and different tastes of these different things. And as we mentioned before, each of these qualities, each of the pools in the well-being cascade, it really is a spiral in that what we thought was a sense of joy or happiness, say 5 years ago in the path, maybe we're experiencing a different type of well-being these days. And maybe what we thought was tranquil 10 years ago and calming is, hopefully we're able to experience a more long-lasting and sustainable level of tranquility these days. So just seeing the different flavors and continuing to practice. And with that, we can start a little bit early. We've got another group practice discussion over in the interview room, the room with the blue door. And anyone who's signed up can go there now, and the rest of us can continue to practice here or practice outside. And I hope everybody has a really good afternoon.